Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a new episode of your favorite program on cable TV, and that's Education Exchange. It has been on the air now for, we are approaching 30 years, by the way, thanks to this man that I think there, John Carroll, he started it with Mike Peterson, long time ago. And the program had offered a lot of service to our community. And last year we were blessed by an offer from the city of Iowa City to host our program, in addition to public access TV. Now we're definitely had high hopes of that for many, many years. And I would say it's great that it happened when the channel, the cable channel of education was gone. So now we have another exit, we have another outlet, and we have more options. Your name, Chase, and you are our guest today. Dr. Chase Ramey has been among the top leadership of this school district for about 3-4 years. And in the fall of 2016, you had an offer to go outside the state, get another job, very highly respected job, and then you decided to come back again. So the question is, why did you leave Iowa City and why did you come back?
Well, thanks for having me again. I enjoyed our conversations on the show over the years, and you're right. About 2.5 years ago, or 3 years ago now, I had an opportunity to join a school district outside of Washington D.C., the Fairfax County Public Schools, one of the largest in the nation, about 10, almost 200,000 students in that school system. And it's what you said, Hani. It was an opportunity to grow and continue to develop myself as a professional and seeing how education runs in another part of the country. And when you step out and do things like that, you discover things about yourself. You continue to develop both personally and professionally. You don't know where the road is going to take you. It just so happens that I was lucky enough to have an opportunity to come home to Iowa City in this spring. And I call it home because I've actually spent a good chunk of my adult life. I'm originally from Kansas City, as we've talked about before, but ever since I left college, I've done grad school here twice in 2 different areas, and obviously done a stint here working. So I spent a good chunk of my time here, and I met my wife here. And her family is from just south of Dubuque, and so Iowa in this area. She worked and went to school in Cedar Rapids, have become home for us. And there's something that drives decisions like family, and one of the things that really quickened our pace to come back is that we were blessed with a little girl in March of this year, our first child. Thank you. And so after her name's Charlie London was born, this position came back available here in the district. And so things lined up. Iowa City's been great to me. It's been great to my family, and it's a great, tremendous school district. And no better place I could think than to raise my own child. And when you have children, this thing, you start to think about things differently and where you want to put down your roots and where you want to be. And we could have gone a lot of different places, but coming home to Iowa was always top of our list.
And sometimes when you are a bachelor boy, the idea of leaving somewhere is easy. But once you have a family, calculating very, very different mathematics enter into the calculation, right?
That is so true. I learn that every day.
Yeah, my father used to say, if you are unmarried, you can just put your wings on and fly. And every time he passed away many years ago, every time I remember what he said, yeah, you just put your wings and fly. Now you can do that. So I understand your attachment to Iowa City. Now, after living for a couple of years, and you reflect on your first experience, and you look forward to your new career in Iowa City, how do you compare?
I think that one of the things I have learned is that while every community is unique and has its own strengths and also its own challenges, many school districts are facing the same challenges that we're facing. And while that I think is speaks to where we are as a nation in terms of education, both nationally, state, and locally, in some ways it provides this sense of comfort of knowing, okay, we're not the only ones going through these challenges. And so you learn there's networks out there that you can call on that are facing similar difficulties, whether that's with student achievement or with staffing, with the diversity of our staff. And so you start to pull on those other resources and learn what works in the school district so you can bring it back. And I also have more experience, and so I look with a different lens than maybe I did in the past. And because you have those experiences, you can maybe not be so, or maybe be more confident in the decisions you're making because you've seen more, and things come back around. And so it's not always a new experience, and you can pull on the things that have happened in the past.
Yeah, you broke the bubble around you, and you opened more horizons, and you learn more definitely. But now, is your approach as an administrator during the period that you were serving here the same approach that you are now pursuing?
You know, I think that some of our goals and some of the work that we're pursuing is the same. Is my approach necessarily the same? No. I think I'm a better leader now than I was, just by having that new perspective. But a lot of the work that we do in education, specifically in HR, when we're trying to change a culture, it takes a lot of time. And the nice thing about going away in some aspects and learning some new tools that I can bring those back, and we don't have to change course. It's just utilizing those to continue the work that we're doing. Some of the things that I started 3-4 years ago, we're finally seeing paying dividends because it takes some time to plant those seeds, to nurture them, and to watch them grow. And as we've talked before, I'm a very relationship-based driven leader, and I think relationships are very crucial to all aspects of education and what we do. And I feel like I did a nice job of that when I was here previously. So coming back, I can call on those relationships, our relationship with you, other folks in the community, relationships with our administrators, and so we continue to build. We don't have to start that process over, so hopefully it'll help us expedite some of the work that we want to continue to do.
We had an episode with Matt Dagger in this program where he was talking about Monday, the 12th of November, where you started interviewing for the equity officer. And while he was explaining this, I remember your style of hiring. Can you describe your previous style and your current style? Is it the same? And to make sure that I am clear here, your style before in hiring is to give as much power to other people around you. And you are actually in the background. I mean, you are not really so much involved until they come up with a recommendation, then the buck stops. Is that the same style that you are doing?
Very similar. I was involved in that process that Matt talked about. We had 2 teams, and then more of of a community, kind of school-based team than more of a central administration-based team. And then we had a third meeting with each candidate that was a superintendent and a candidate and I. And so it gave Superintendent Murley and I an opportunity to really have some candid conversations with the candidates, but then also gives us that feel for who they are as individuals, because fit and how folks will work inside a team can be as important as how you might answer an interview question. But we also get to kind of compare or collaborate on our experiences meeting the candidates with how they met with a variety of people. Because it isn't just me working with one individual or that person working with just the HR team. They need to be able to collaborate and work towards the same goals as a team member with a variety of different stakeholders. So yes, we want to involve people in those processes. And depending on the position, the individuals that are involved or the process might look slightly different, but I think that underlying concept, as you said, about making sure there's a variety of voices involved is something that I continue to be a firm believer in.
Again, I'm going back to the equity because
Sure.
this is a hot spot now. We have had, and I'm very open spoken about this. We have had experience with other people who were doing the same role before.
Mm-hmm.
And I recall the difference between their styles when it comes to issues, whether it's conflict, grievance, complaints, discrimination, prejudice, bias, whatever. And I saw they are dealing with this in a very different way. During my time, it was Marian Coleman, and after Marian Coleman left this job, Ross Weaver took over and was followed by Dutchford. All three had very different approaches, extremely different approaches. Some of them were doing their job in the field. In other words, they go and work in school. You see them there involved with kids, attending, training teachers, listening to them. And some of them were very, let's say, bureaucratic. I mean, doing nice reporting, doing data analysis, doing computer work. And so everyone has a style, different style. When you decide about the equity officer, what do you expect this person to be?
Well, I think, as I said in one of my earlier responses, it's something that's relationship driven. We feel it's important for us to keep a view that we're able to see the mission and the vision for the overall school system. But you also have to counterbalance that with the ability to work with individuals one-on-one. And so you can't let the macro swallow the micro. And so I look for somebody that has that balance, that ability to understand that we need to put systematic approaches in place to ensure equity for all individuals. But that when you're putting in programs that are system-wide, that you have to remember that represents individual people that have names, that have feelings, that either work for the system or invest in the community, have kids in the system, or even a child in our system themselves. I think the other thing that's great about the position this time around, Hani, is that we've actually created a complementary position over the summer, a director of diversity and cultural proficiency that Laura Cottrell is in for the school district. And
That
so,
actually was my next question.
right, and so these positions are going to work together along with everyone else at BSC and across the district. As we talk about equity, that's not the job of one person, it's not the job of two persons, that's the job of everyone. And so we have these individuals who help lead that work and help move us all in that direction. But it's great because we have Laura as our director of diversity and cultural proficiency, this new equity director. And while they'll have some overlap and they'll do a lot of collaborating work together, we really look at Laura's work focused more on our students and taking that lens, where our equity and employee relations director will focus more on the adults in the
How about
system.
Jane?
Jane Fry. Jane's been a great asset to our HR team and just the district over her tenure. She's worn a number of different hats and has always worked at a very high level. I have a deep level of respect for her, and she's been great. Her role is transferred into one that we're calling talent acquisition and leadership management. And so with now an equity director in her role, she's going to focus more on our recruitment and then also our leadership development and grow your own programs, ways that we can expand our footprint and what we're doing to ensure that we continue to get the best educators and staff members into school districts. We have Jane focused on recruitment, talent acquisition and management and leadership, and then we'll have the director of equity and employee relations focused on those employee relations pieces.
The University of Iowa, as an entity, had always been, the relationship between the district and the University of Iowa has been like love-hate relationship for many, many years. But eventually, under the wisdom of Steve Ramey, the university has really contributed a lot of advices. One of the advices they gave to your team, maybe not when you were in charge yet, but it has been conveyed that they like you to grow your own. And this was the recommendation of the University of Iowa. As far as recruitment, as far as promotion, as far as advancement of a position. And to explain to our viewer, this means that I have somebody who may start as a para, end up being assistant administrator, director administrator, and then maybe elevated to the job of head of curriculum. So you grow within the system. How do you see your mission now implementing this?
I think it's an important piece of our recruitment and retention strategies. And one reason it's a good one is because the vast majority of recruitment is local. I do think we need to expand our recruitment footprint to be more regional, be more national, but really a lot of recruitment is local.
We just brought someone from DC.
Yeah, exactly. But you brought someone from DC that has their connections here, right? But it's. I know you're kidding.
It's a joke.
but you're onto something about as we look to recruit people that have those relationships, those connections. But as we look at grow your own, there's a couple of different pieces, and it's something we haven't really done in the district before, but some experiences I did get when I was out in DC. And so you described one path. We can look at a number of different paths that start even when our students are in high school. And we've been having conversations with some of the local colleges and universities about, okay, what type of partnership can we enter in where we all have some skin in the game, and we send you students from our high schools into your education programs, and you move them through your programs, they graduate degrees, and we have jobs waiting for them when they come back as new teachers. And so they're products of the Iowa City School District that went to college, and they come back and they teach in the schools where they were students themselves because they have that connection. But you mentioned individuals that might come from support positions that want to transfer into teaching or into leadership. And so we have those as well, but then also a leadership path too. And so it is an important strategy. I think it needs to be one of several strategies in an overall recruitment plan, but one we need to start to develop. But it's one that the district has to do in partnership with other organizations in order to make it work, simply because when we talk about retention, and I think it is a retention piece as well, retention is simply not about your job. It's about being part of the community. It's about being invested in that community. And so I think it's something that it's not just good for the school district, but it's good for all of us in the Iowa City area.
Utilizing the fact that you are open for an honest you believe in this idea of grow your own. But I have, and I'm not going to mention names, but I have certain people in the district that has always looked forward to be promoted. Like they have never been given an interview. I have never been given a chance to be promoted. I can mention names later, but not on the air.
Sure.
But are you having a plan to treat this?
Yes, and I think what you're talking about, or maybe one of the reasons for that, is because we've gone with this traditional application and interview process where there hasn't been a lot of professional growth provided by the school district to get individuals into something that maybe we develop as a leadership development program, so that people that are interested, we can start getting to know them, start giving those background and those tools so that they're better positioned when an interview or an opportunity comes about. And so yes, it is part of the strategy of looking at that, of looking at internal cohorts that we can develop so that we can create a more robust pool of qualified individuals to take on new leadership roles at a variety of levels inside the organization.
I know that you have a couple of questions, but I have one good, very good one. You are now being selected as a member of the playground committee. Of course, we hope that this committee will accomplish this inclusiveness as far as people with disability, everything. How do you see your role there?
Yeah, I'm there to listen. I'm there to also help facilitate and keep the committee work moving forward. We've got a great set of individuals, both internal to the district and also some community stakeholders that have come together to help move this work forward. It started before I got here, and so I came back kind of midstream, and so I learned on the job, and the committee's been very patient with me, but I really see my role as helping facilitate the progression of that work. The substantive piece would be to our great folks in grounds and the physical plant, and then making sure that we have that community voice. And so I'm in the middle to help kind of mesh those together as we move forward for what, as you said, is hopefully a great benefit for our students. It's exciting work, it's important work, and we continue to move it forward.
Yes, I mean, this has been it's a new area for me, but this has been a learning conversation. And I apply it to my own areas of research, which is globalization and international relations. So as we see technology and mobile computing has increasingly redefined HR. So I was just curious as to how much of that application is viable for you. For example, like digital data, mobile apps, which are becoming very, and then you have social media, of course, cloud-based technology, just to sort of understand how far you take that into consideration.
I think we do take into consideration, and I think it's very important because as we look to recruit, candidates are interviewing us as much as we're interviewing them. And our teachers that are new to the profession, they're all digital natives, and that's the world they know. And so if we're not presenting ourselves in a way that they quickly recognize, find easy to navigate, and it's something they're familiar with, they're going to say, well, we don't want to be involved in that school system, we're going to go somewhere else. And so as there is this digitalization, this globalization, we have to stay on top of that. We're behind a little bit, but we're trying to put some systems in place behind the scenes that are going to help us with that. But then as we look at outward facing, we do try to make sure that we're using social media and other 21st century technologies to stay on that cutting edge. We talk about recruitment, and we want to recruit nationally, but that's an expense. We can do interviewing over, Google Hangout, we FaceTime, things like that. So we take advantage of those to help us be more effective and efficient at times too.
How does it feel being there now?
I love it. I love it.
Can you say a few words about
It's,
that?
I get, honey, I'm gonna get emotional. But it's, you know, I didn't know how fantastic it was going to be. And it really puts things in perspective. And you asked me what changed. I will tell you that more than my experiences, becoming a dad has impacted me more than years, and for the positive. It's made me not just a better leader, it's made me a better husband, it's made me a better person. And it brings a new perspective to your life and how you look at other things. And so it's been amazing.
Then we know the name of the baby.
Her name is Charlie London.
Oh, wow.
And she is amazing. Smart, beautiful, perfect. At least her dad thinks so.
Well, just thank you for coming back home.
Thank you for having me. Yes.
And we wish you all the success and all the best. And we wish your daughter a glorious, glamorous future. We wish you happiness, you and your wife in Iowa City. And we are looking forward to working with you over the years.
Most definitely.
And meet with you again. We have with you about maybe 10 episodes.
Whenever you need
There
me.
were years that we
Yes.
did twice,
Yes.
remember.
Yeah.
And so, thank you again.
Of course.
Thank you, Dr. Thacker. Thank you, Mike. And thanks to our young man there, John Carhall, who developed this couple months ago.